Come off, you stupid piece of... Ow. Good morning, fellas. Finally found me some time to pick up on an old abandoned project. I took this old Craftsman 6-speed mower and moved the engine to the back and the steering to the front to make a go-kart. Unfortunately, I couldn't figure out the brakes, and then I had kids, and life happened. Oh, hello, beautiful. What kind of danger noodle are you? Oh, hey, Carol. Hey! What the hell, Carol? I never liked you. I think the government's leaking something into the water. Good lord, look at these wasps. This whole thing is 10 pounds and open, a 5-pound bag. I think it's time to take a ride on the old Honda instead. Damn nature, you scary. Come on. Now this won't start. I thought Hondas were supposed to be reliable. Oh. Just kidding around. I found this on Marketplace years ago for peanuts in the upstate New York hill country. You know, the Kentucky part. The kid selling it said it dropped a valve, so he stripped all the parts he wanted and parked it where it died, and I guess his mom wanted it out of her she shed, so she posted it, and in a moment of weakness, I snatched it up as a project. Yours truly was as yet unburdened by such things as children, or multiple children. This was like 5 years ago, so I had time for that top-end rebuild. Only thing is, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 valvole. No droppy. So what gives? If you're one of the 3 people who watched my Honda Foreman video, I mentioned that if the cooling fan locks up on one of these old girls, the fan control module kills the motor to prevent overheating. Looky here. I'm literally angry with rage. He didn't check for spark first. Now it's totaled. But knowing that the internals might be okay has me tempted to give this powertrain at least one more chance at life. All you need is fuel, spark, and compression, right? Right? Timing. Nobody remembers timing. The fuel system on these is not that complex. You've got a tank. The more rainwater, the better. It's Deer Park. And since rainwater is eco-friendly, I can just drain it in the creek. Then there's a fuel pump, which in my case is hypothetical. A fuel pump relay. Gone. And a carburetor. Yep, also gone. I am 0 for 4 on the fuel system. So that's good. There's no distributor or points here, just a capacitor discharge ignition box. I sprayed mine with invisibility paint. You like it? Very rare. You have to get it from China. Power is supposed to come from the alternator's exciter coil, which goes through these non-existent wires, up to the CDI to charge up some capacitors, when a pulse signal travels up using telepathy to perfectly time a money shot of electricity right to the coil, which is... shit. Also missing. And none of this spark action goes down unless a bunch of safety measures are satisfied. Neutral safety switch has to be closed, the fan control module has to be satisfied, which it won't be, the ignition switch has to be on, and the kill switch has to be off. Neither exist, and even if I had any of these parts, the wiring harness is kablooey. Ow! But don't worry, I've got a spark plug. Which sounds sarcastic, but it's actually great that it's there because it means the cylinder head isn't full of water and rust. It's plugged. Spark plugged. How many of you are under there? Could you at least help? I don't mind snakes, but this is getting a little bit ridiculous. a pretty one, but I don't know what kind of snake you are, so just to be safe. That's so metal. And now these jerks. The starter button is missing, so I can't crank it over to check compression. There's that pesky Kickstarter, but it has a compression relief that I don't feel like taking off, so I'm going to be cranking this hog directly. If this thing doesn't have any compression, I can mercifully end this video now and just go to bed. Actually, wait. I don't care what the oil looks like. I just want to know that it has some oil. BRB. If you've ever made sweet, sweet whoopee in the shower, you know how well water lubricates. It's been outside for years in New York and years here in Pennsylvania, two of the most water-rich states in the country. Is that water or oil? Oil, but not much. Hello, hello, hello. The good stuff. Don't gotta change the oil if you don't have any oil. No, I'm a little worried about why there's no oil. I don't see any signs of leaks. Should probably make sure it's not in gear before I crank it over. I'm optimistic. So if I go all the way down, then push the button in, pull the handle, and one more. There, that's reverse, and then up one. That ought to be neutral. What's something that was never alive, but can die? I got this old thing for free from the junkyard. Technically, I stole it, but I was never charged. This starter's been out in the elements for a long time, but I'm feeling pretty positive. There's lots of potential here. Are you still watching? No? That's understandable. She's dead, Jim. Looks like a storm's moving in, so I'm gonna get the starter off and take it into the workshop. I'm pretty sure I can clean it up, bring it around again. Gotta rainproof that intake manifold. This is how NASA does it. .5/16, the gentleman's 8mm. Fuck this gasket. Whoops, that's not a cover. The gears came out with it. Mental note for later when I can't figure out what that grinding noise is. time. Let's see what's bugging her. See this thing? Don't want to lose that thing. It's a critical thing. Ah, shit. I'm not an expert. I'm more of a fake it till you make it kind of guy, but I've made it far enough to know that these brush holders are not supposed to liquefy and then re-solidify. So we've got 0 fuel system, 0 ignition system, and completely unknown compression. Why am I doing this? When you kick the Kickstarter over, this cable holds a valve open slightly to relieve compression. What it actually does is make kickstarting a pig in a poke. It also completely invalidates a compression test. And so I'm going to be messing with that compression relief after all. Wow, that came out easy. This is my first look at the spark plug. It's basically new. Irish people think they own the monopoly on self-deprecating sunburn jokes. Well, I'm Welsh, bitches. No, not you. The other guy. When doing a compression test, it's important to have the throttle all the way open. See? Mine's all the way open. Got it? All the way open. Alright, let's see. Well, that ain't factory spec. Just a quick sanity check. 1, 2, 3. See, shut up! Shut up! I'm not saying you can restore all compression using gear oil in your cylinder, but I swear I did it once. Plus, it's so thick and moist and... Well, this is a hiccup. Before I dig into valve adjustment and timing, here's a sneak peek at that compression relief. As I pull the cable, that little cam pushes down on the exhaust valves. Just a tiddly bit. Can't check my valves without being at top dead center, and I can't get to top dead center without checking my timing marks, and I can't check those without my Honda timing cap removal tools, patent pending. This one is for the crank bolt. And this one is where Mr. T lives. I like to improve my odds by putting a tool in the spark plug hole, and then when it gets to the top, you know you have a 50-50 shot of finding Mr. T. The F is the ignition timing mark, and it stands for you went too far. Damn it. Damn it. All 4 valves should be at 3/1000ths at top dead center, or 0.08 millimeters for you continental types. Both intake valves are perfect, just a little bit of drag. One exhaust valve is tighter than a nun's bum, and the second is a hot dog down a hallway. I have to say, with no plastics on this thing, this engine is a delight to work on. Look how stiff this valve spring is. There goes the 10 millimeter. And now look at the other one. This is the one that was so tight I couldn't even get the feeler gauge in. Now look. One of these things is not like its brother. One of these things is pissing me off. So this thing has two completely unrelated fatal errors. I'm not replacing the locked up fan right now, but to get it running, it's at least going to need a valve job and a head gasket, and worst case scenario, a top end rebuild. However, for the moment, it spins over freely, so until the parts arrive, let's see if we can get the sparkles sparking. Easily one of the best things about the internet is all the free PDF manuals. They're a godsend, but when it comes to troubleshooting, there's nothing like a warm, freshly printed copy in your hands. If anyone from HP is watching this, your printer sucks.
6.5 hours later.
My goal was to get this running as bare bones as possible. It's not fun if you just buy all the parts and replace it all. It's cheating. But despite decades of experience bubblegumming and rednecking things, I had to cave and spend some money and buy some parts. I tried eating a bunch of solder and capacitors, but no combination would allow me to magically poop out a CDI unit. Just a lot of blood. So this is from eBay. I also picked up this crappy used wiring harness. I could patch up the existing harness, but I can't make the proprietary connectors I need for the CDI. Guy wanted $24.99 shipped, but I offered him $22. Stole it. So yeah, I pretty much paid $22 for this one CDI connector.
I am too smart. I am too smart. SMRT.
I'm not seeing anything for the fan control module. That must be for 87 and up. So that redneck kid told me it dropped a valve. I got all excited when I thought it was the fan. I wrote him off as a moron. And now the locked up fan means nothing, and it really did drop a valve, which means that technically speaking, I'm the moron. Yep, moron status confirmed. Not only does it not apply to this 86, but it cuts power to the fan motor, not the vroom vroom motor. I need to stop drinking my detailing chemicals. I wish it didn't smell like watermelon. Despite being a moron, I still think I can hotwire this CDI to work as a standalone. I just need to find a shortcut to get each pin where it belongs, starting with the exciter coil and the pulse coil. First, I'm going to ohm them out as per the book here. Get out of here, B. And make sure they're not as bad as the rest of this machine is. It's going to be fine. Basically, the exciter coil is like the gunpowder that charges the CDI with the potential energy it needs. The pulse signal is the trigger. Love this thing. The electronicals are the one part of this project I'm actually excited for. I love using these things. It's like a treasure hunt wrapped in a puzzle. Starting with the green and white wire, that should go to ground. And it does. Next, the exciter coil. There should be between 50 and 200 ohms between the black and red wire and the ground. 145, I'll take it. Then the pulse generator. Should be 300 to 360 ohms between the blue and yellow wire and ground. 321, yes, something on this machine works. I can do this, I can do this, I can win. One last thing, I also splurged on this eBay ignition coil. That electrical tape is fine, by the way. It's probably factory, right? Looking for 0.1 to 0.2 ohms. 0.3, I guess I'll take, there you are. So I found which wire goes to my exciter coil, and I found the one that goes to the pulse generator. The blue and white wire goes to ground when the kill switch or ignition switch is in the off position. The black and yellow wire goes to my ignition coil, the other end of which goes to ground. And a light green and red wire goes to the neutral safety switch, aka ground in my case, because nobody's got time for that safety crap. Break out the soldering iron. Here's the black and white wire for the kill switch and ignition switch. It can go anywhere its little heart desires except ground. Here's the other end on the donor harness. This is supposed to go to the handlebar kill switch, so if God takes pity on me and this thing ever actually runs, this will be my kill wire. Just need to touch ground with it. Next is the black and yellow wire going to the ignition coil. It starts at the CDI and runs down to these mint condition spade connectors. Nice. The wires for the exciter and pulse generator go to these sexy bullet connectors I've installed at the alternator pigtail, as does the green and white ground wire. And lastly, the light green wire with the red stripe needs to go to ground instead of the neutral switch, like it's probably supposed to. Bypassed. What do you think, Internet? Is this going to be a problem? This could probably use a turn on the benchtop hemorrhoid remover. Not too bad. Ignition coil is wired up, spark plug is quote-unquote grounded, and what I need you to do is look really closely and let me know if you see sparks when I kick it over. I don't even need this new spark plug I bought. It works. Something on this piece of crap works. Call me Thor, for I am God of lightning. Thunder? I mean, he makes lightning. I don't know, that whole thing is screwy. I never really got it.
1 week later.
The top end rebuild parts haven't even shipped yet, but the starter rebuild showed up right away, so I'm going to tear into this thing. Link in the description for a full rebuild tutorial on this thing. She's good from far and far from good, but I did the very best I could. Some grandparents passed down a beach house, a ski cabin. My grandparents didn't have much, but I got this bitchin' old vise, and that's a blessing in itself. Here goes $13. Works on the first try, as far as you know. There's a link in the description for the kit if you need it. We're finally going to get off this island, Gilligan. This time, I'm certain of it. Can you believe it? Got it out on the first try. Now, for what's left of the exhaust. You're supposed to just unzip those bolts and pull out that slip joint. Any guesses? Did you guess the screws would break off? And that the slip joint will be welded tighter than a nun's bum? I can see daylight, but I'm exhausted from all this hammering. I want to break free. I want to break free. Whoops, missed the bolt. Decapitated. The block just has these two 8mm buggers, but my prized baby ratchet doesn't fit. First time in 63 years. Arrgh. I paper cutted myself on the metal head gasket. Be sure to drop a thumbs up. I put a lot of blood and sweat in this video. And there's the tears. Let's clean this dirty girl's parts. This is a valve spring compressor, not an oxygen sensor socket slipped over a bolt welded to a cheap Harbor Freight C-clamp. This is a magnet, though. Two things I've learned in my years of tinkering. First, if a cluttered workbench is a sign of a cluttered mind, of what, I wonder, is an empty workbench a sign of? And second, something can be stupid and work and still be stupid. Minty. Not minty. Oh, this keeps getting worse. Each stupid valve guide is $25. Hot, hot, hot. It's almost like I knew what I was doing. I don't. I'm not trying to blow the budget on specialty tools I'll never use again, so I think I can tap it on with a baby hammer and a 9/16 socket. Getting stuck. Darn you. Ah, there it went. Ah, shit. I tried installing the second $25 guide with Harbor Freight Punch, and I wouldn't recommend it. So that's $50 in ruined guides rather than spend the $19 on the OEM Honda valve guide tool that I thought was $80. You know, a lot of YouTubers make themselves look stupid to make themselves endearing or relatable, but in my case... Barb hollered at me for making her precious oven smell like engine oil, so now I'm boiling the damn thing in the yard. I don't know how else to heat it evenly, and if it heats unevenly, it warps, and then I'm really fucked. I like my valve guides like I like my women. Well lubricated and cold as ice. Here's the exhaust rocker. These are impossible to get. And here's the camshaft's exhaust lobe. These are forged out of pure unobtainium. What do you mean I have to change the oil? Want to hear something crazy? I'm going to smooth this rocker arm out. I'm going to do the same to the cam. The only things they're going to damage are each other, and they're already screwed. And it should run even if the exhaust valves don't open 100%. Nobody gives 100%. I can get a remanufactured head on eBay for $500, but I have no idea if my transmission works or if the drivetrain has any integrity or if the oil pump works. So until I know, $500, say it with me. The more I sand the camshaft, the more pitted it gets. I think somebody welded on this thing and tried to bubblegum it. Shit. Shit. The piston rings look great. There should be less than 22 thou gap here, and... guess I'll order fucking rings too. I'm better with electrical stuff than mechanical, but this experience has me really honing my skills. Nut. I mean, it wouldn't pay for that, but for free, it's not bad.
Warm out today. Warm yesterday. Even warmer today.
Carefuling. Carefuling. Maximum carefuling. I forgot to put the connecting rod in. That head ain't getting past those headers. I tried to clear up some wiggle room, but snapped, rounded, and obliterated. The slip joint is welded together like an unhappy Catholic marriage, and not even the divorce attorneys at Hammerstein, Prybar, and Mallet, man, could settle it, so... Any vintage Honda ATV purists? Look away. Forgive me, Father, for the sins I am about to commit. I know not what I do. It's okay, boys. I welded it back together. I mean, my blind neighbor welded it back together. Yes, they'll buy that story. I was tapping the head down with a rubber mallet and I accidentally bonked one of the exhaust valves. On the bright side, I set a new speed record for valve spring removal, and on the downside, my valve keeper's off into oblivion. Tech tip, sometimes it's easier to find shiny objects after dark with a light rather than in the daytime. What are you? There's one in every family. Would you believe I actually found this little thing in the tall grass last night? No? Good. Because I didn't. It's good to have spares though. You put the lime in the coconut and mix it all up. You put the lime in the coconut and mix it all up. You put the lime in the coconut and mix it all up. Snap-on. A Snap-on company. Snap-on? A Snap-on company. This one's a fraction of the price, and all joking aside, is one of the best values in torque wrenches. The hydrometer is firmly in ball soup territory today. All right, one more time. This cheap gauge sucks. My right leg says it has tons of compression. Time to get the exhaust back on, but something's not quite right. How the hell does this even happen? Dead Tree got me into this mess, and Dead Tree is gonna get me out of it. Just another inch. I'm anti-seizing everything for the next douchebag because most likely that next douchebag is gonna be me. Are you gonna stay in place or are you gonna be a stinker? You're gonna be a stinker. Little tip, if you ever have a washer or seal that has the nerve to refuse to defy gravity to make your life more convenient, find something compatible and goopy. Not so smug now, are ya? What are the odds that after all my bubblegum welding, my neighbor's bubblegum welding, that this is just gonna slip right in and the bolt holes are gonna line up? I hate my life. You know what? The bolt holes don't have to line up. What? You use aluminum foil for your homemade exhaust gaskets? Pfft. Peasants. Soichiro Honda would be proud. No. He'd vomit. She's far from good and far from good. I think it's carburetor time, boys. This guy come off eBay. I wanted to lowball the seller, but he said he knew what he had. So...
Pikachu.
Just rebuilt the damn thing. So the starter works. The engine turns over fine, so I don't know. I guess I'm kickstarting it, which if you've ever owned one of these, cold kickstarts are about as fun as sandpapering a bobcat's ass in a telephone booth. Jesus. It shouldn't be this hard. I don't think my relief is working. This is how the compression relief on my 87 works. And this is what this turd does. That's not catching. I guess I really need that electric start to work.
24 hours later.
If you're keeping score, this counts as a failure. Oop, something's missing. Clever girl. I really just... I don't know. So I've got great compression, great spark, and a good carburetor, and my timing is perfect. And it's dead in the water because the fucking electric start and the fucking Kickstarter are both unusable. Maybe best just to walk away and cool down for a few days. Hopefully something will come to me in a dream. Alright, update. I got what's left of the plastics on. I merged the wiring harnesses to make a Wish.com version of a factory harness. I reinstalled that old original starter, the one I rebuilt, and check this out. I'm sorry I didn't record this, but I only had time after dark this week when the Hellspawn were asleep, and frankly, as much as I love you guys and them, in the sage words of Uncle Red,
your best projects are done alone. That way there's nobody there trying to tell you how stupid or impossible they are.
There's a one-way bearing behind the stator in here, and what happened was I took it apart and I found shrapnel, probably from the gearbox. Yeah. I'm borrowing the controls from my foreman, henceforth known as the giving AT tree, as well as the rear wheels. Lawnmower gas tank engaged, jumper box charged. Here goes nothing. I have no words, just tears of joy. No wait, I do have words. You piece of shit, you thought you'd beat me? Nobody beats me, except all those other things. Gonna get this thing in the mud for the first time in probably 15 years. So what do I do with this? It still has no real fuel system, the fan is dead, the plastics are a fantasy at this point, it needs 4 wheels and 4 tires, a seat, controls, front brakes. I think a running and driving parts machine by any other name is still a parts machine. What would you do, other than go back in time and stop yourself from buying this thing in the first place? Oh, what a nightmare. Thanks for watching.